Right, so let's look at what happens when a support request comes in. How do we start the process? What do we do?
So we have an initial chat, first of all, actually see what they need or what they think they need. And then what I'd normally do is direct them straight to an audit, just to get an understanding of where we're at, what we're actually needing to look at. And a lot of the times things can be fixed through an audit. And maybe sometimes it is just a matter of training, and whether that's sort of practical side or theory side. But yeah, starting with that audit, just to get an overall understanding of both the client side and the contractor side, or even the supplier side in some cases.
So we've worked with customers, we've worked with contractors, we've worked with suppliers. What's the most common requests that we get?
At the moment, I'd say productivity and requirement reviews. A lot of the times what we see on site is maybe equipment that's been there for a very long time. Normally it's because it's Margaret's favourite or John's preferred machine, and that's why it's always stayed that way. And it might not be the most innovative approach, especially now everybody wants to move to a more efficient, healthy workplace. So yeah, the productivity review is probably one of the top ones. But with the productivity review, it's important that we have a review of the site requirements. So it's not just about us applying principles to a space and expecting it all to be the same. We need to actually have a look at what's actually on site, people, most importantly, that are on site. And it's not only about making it quick, it's about making it safe and long lasting.
I think the thing for me where I've gone to site is when you speak into the actual cleaning ops, you find far more than when sometimes you speak to the management.
Yeah.
Because they're dealing with it on a daily basis and it's a different viewpoint.
Absolutely.
So obviously we're nicely dressed at the moment because they're filming us, but when you see us later, you'll see us in uniform. And do you think that's important for the site?
Absolutely. I think it's important as well to realise that this isn't a desktop exercise. This is getting in, getting dirty, and actually seeing how it runs, like warts and all. So that doesn't mean I'm going to show up 9 till 5, arrive 2 hours after the teams have, or even 10 hours after. I'm going to be there with the ops, with the supervisors, with the management, seeing all of the shifts and making sure that everything is covered, because as we all know, it's amazing what happens when management aren't around.
Yeah, often we find out far more at silly o'clock at night or stupid o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely. I think that's a different video altogether of the things that we've spotted. I think as well, people are afraid of asking for a lot of help. I mean, obviously people think it's quite an invasive process, but they don't realise how often and how common a lot of the issues are, and that it might be seen as asking for help, but actually a lot of the time it's just validation that you are doing the right thing.
I think one of the hardest things anybody does is ask for help.
Yeah.
So having customers come and say, I know this is an issue, is good for us because it means there's a certain level of trust.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we're not going to name names, name and shame, or name and shine.
Yeah.
Because we've had both.
Yeah.
But what we would like to say, or I'd like to say, is this is confidential. Your reports go to you.
Yep.
You see it. It's up to you to choose to act or not act upon it.
Absolutely. And it's not opinions at site. You know, if you stick us with somebody from an estates department, there's not going to be any comments shared or anything like that. What is in the report is in the report. And I think it's also important that it's not just a piece of paper that they get. It's also the ongoing support after. We don't just leave it up to them to figure out what we mean. You know, as easy as they may be to read, it is about those steps afterwards, you know, meetings with the team on site, that implementation process, almost like a mobilisation of the recommendations made, and you know, trials that come after. It's not just a here's the fix, off you go. It's recommendations.
And again, it is recommendations because, you know, we'll recommend suppliers. We don't ever just recommend one. We like to recommend a range because it's important for the customer to actually fit with that supplier. So it's the service the suppliers offer that will get them the contract, not us saying, oh, you should use. It's about having that range. What we want to make sure is that they've got something to do the job properly.
Absolutely. And I think aside from that honest and, you know, just laying yourself bare, so to speak, I think people often feel like they need to fall within a bracket of a site requirement review or a productivity review, when often it might not be that they actually want. That doesn't mean that there's not support available to them.
As you said earlier, one size doesn't fit all.
No.
And never will. And we're in business because of it.
Exactly.
It's about giving people options and letting them make choices. Exactly. And driving for that safety and improvement in standards.
It's all about just moving forward. And I think people may think, oh, I'm not a contractor. it doesn't apply to me. You could be a client that just has general questions about how something should run. I mean, not everybody is a cleaning professional. Not everybody understands the vast amount of information that needs to be available or what it takes to actually run a service. And I think the same with suppliers, just realising where they fall into that market, especially with so many different sectors. And, we're lucky here that we come from completely different parts of the industry and that knowledge is there. But I think people need to be able to say, this is what I'm having the problem with. What can we do?
Yeah, and also, as you've said, there's so many different parts. People see cleaning and think, well, it's cleaning.
Yeah.
It is, but are you cleaning a retail shop? And is it food retail or is it general retail? Are you cleaning a railway station or an airport? Mm-hmm. Are you cleaning a hospital or a clinic?
And if you are, what risk category is it? Yeah. What are we going through? I think it's just about actually opening yourself up and maybe as well not just thinking that there's one issue. It's not an issue, it's just an area to develop, or in some cases just tweak, and just be open to the idea that you may have thought it was A, but actually it's Z that might be starting that problem, or that may help you actually maybe make a bit more money, become a bit more efficient, and actually provide a better place for your workforce.
Yeah, I think that's what we want to do.
Yeah.